Hello student, welcome back to my new video. Biological classification we were discussing. This is the sixth part of this chapter. We are discussing today kingdom plantae. Kingdom plantae. And this we will discuss about the development. These cell types are eukaryotic, cell type is eukaryotic. Cell type is eukaryotic. Cell wall is present having cellulose. Cell wall consists cellulose. Body organization is tissue and organ, and mode of nutrition is autotrophic. That is, it can make their own food through the help of photosynthesis. That they can make their own food. But in this, some are heterotrophic, some are heterotrophic. That is insectivorous plants. Insectivorous plants and cuscutas. That is a parasite. So in plantae, the characters we can discuss here. Cell type is eukaryotic. Cell wall is present having cellulose. Body organization is tissue, and then it is organ, and the nutrition is autotrophic. That plant that makes their own food, that is through photosynthesis. But in this, some are also heterotrophic, that is insectivorous plants, and cuscuta, that are parasitic. And this plantae in this it includes this plantae, kingdom plantae. It includes alga, second bryophytes, third pteridophytes, that is alga, bryophytes, pteridophytes, then gymnosperm, angiosperm. So kingdom plantae includes alga, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperm, and angiosperm. And this you may discuss in detail in next chapter. So its detail will be elaborated in next chapter, that is in your third chapter in class 11th. Life cycle of planting has two distinct phases. That is, first is diploid saprophytic, and the second is haploid gametophytic. So we can say that this life cycle has two distinct phases, that is diploid saprophytic and haploid gametophytic, and this is called that alternate with each other. They alternate with each other. So they are called, this is called as alternation of generations. Alternation of generation. So what is alternation of generation? When the two distinct phases, diploid saprophytic and haploid gametophytic, alternate with each other, that is alternation of generation. We will represent it through a cycle which may be clear for you. So here we find the alternation of generation, the life cycle. In life cycle, what we see, the spores, that is n number, that male and female gamete, that is gametophytes, forms the plant. After mitosis, the gametes divide again and they form the zygote. After that, saprophyte, and then meiosis. This cycle continues, that alternation of generation is shown in this, and the examples are for this are meiosis. This is the in kingdom plantae. You see the alternation of generation, and the thing, the diploid saprophytes and haploid gametophytes, how they alternate with each other. So this is the plantae, and the details will be studied in the next chapter in your class 11th book. So the kingdom plantae and seer. You have any doubts and all that, you may contact and ask. I will try my best to make your doubts clear. Next is kingdom Animalia. Kingdom Animalia. So the characters bar, they are heterotrophic, eukaryotics, heterotrophic eukaryotes organism. That is, it is holozoic or saprophytic. So what means holozoic? Holozoic means ingestion of food. Ingestion of food. So, what the character animalia? They are heterotrophic eukaryote organism which have the nutrition is holozoic and saprophytic. What means holozoic means ingestion of food, that is the nutrition of this body organization. What is the body organization in this? The tissue, organ and organ system. So in plantea we found that the body organization was tissue and organ. Here there comes organ system. Cell wall is absent and nuclear membrane is present. So the characters of animalia, that they are heterotrophic and are eukaryotic organisms with holozoic and saprophytic type of nutrition. Body organization is tissue, organ and the organ system. Cell wall is absent and nuclear membrane is present. And digestion of food is in the internal cavity and store food reserves as glycogen or fat. So, and this we find that digestion food, what we find, digest food in an internal cavity. Food digestion is an internal cavity. And store food reserves as glycogen or fat. So what we find that the food is digested in the internal cavity, that most of the plant in the kingdom Animalia, the foods that are digested are in internal cavity, and that the food are stored as reserves in the form of glycogen or fat, which are used when there is extreme conditions, when there is unavailability of foods, then this fat and glycogen is used by the body. And its sexual reproduction, sexual reproduction is by copulation of male and female, followed by embryological development. So what we find that the food digestion is in the internal cavity, and the stored food in the form of glycogen and fat, and the reproduction is sexual by the copulation of male and female, followed by embryological development. And this details will be studied in the fourth chapter of your class 11th. So here the brief of about Animalia, kingdom Animalia has been discussed. of them has not been included in the kingdom that was given, the five kingdoms that was given, that were viruses, viroids, prions, and lichens. These were somewhere not been included in this. So they were placed, they were not being placed in this kingdom. So we will be discussing this all separately. So why they were not considered? Because they are not considered a true living, because they are not being considered as truly living. Because these are not being considered as truly living, they are non-cellular organisms. They are non-cellular organism having an inert crystalline structure outside, having an inert crystalline structure outside living cell. So why they were not included? Because they are not considered as truly living, and they are non-cellular organisms having an inert crystalline structure outside living cells. So we will discuss all this separately. Viruses, mainly all of them would be well known with this viruses, due to the viral, all says when the fever comes, says it is viral fever, a viral flu. So what are viruses? This we'll discuss. It means, what do you mean by virus? Virus means, the word means venom. Means that in Hindi you say jahar. So viruses means venom or poisonous fluid. So what we tell that viruses means it's venom or poisonous fluid. They are considered smaller than bacteria. What viruses and bacteria, we say that viruses are much smaller than bacteria, as it was proven when virus passed bacterial filter. So viruses are much smaller than bacteria, and it was proved when they were passed through bacterial filters. The viruses passed away. So it is much smaller than bacteria. And then they are obligate parasite. What they are called? They are obligate parasites. What are viruses? They are obligate parasites. Some viruses which we'll discuss is tobacco mosaic virus (TMV), which is usually found in tobacco plants, and its fluid affect the dirt. So examples which we will be discussing are tobacco mosaic virus, tobacco mosaic. Why it is named as mosaic? Because it's look like the mosaic which are used in the making of furs and all that. So it is tobacco mosaic virus, tobacco mosaic virus (TMV). It was recognized by the scientist Dmitry Ivanovsky. Scientist was Dmitry Ivanovsky, who founded this tobacco mosaic virus, and he came to know that this affect the tobacco plants, and it was after that it was studied by M.W. Bezernik M.W. Bezernik. I'm just telling these names because it may come in one words which may make you feel better if you understand this. M.W. Bezernik that found that extract of infected plant of tobacco could cause infection in healthy plant, and this what the fluid is called as fluid name is Contagium vivum fluidium. Contagium vivum fluidium, also called as infectious living fluid. So in this we find that tobacco virus, that is examples are tobacco mosaic virus, which is mosaic virus is named because it looks like the mosaic, and it was found by Dmitry Ivanovsky, and later it was M.W. Bezernik who found that the extract of infected plant of tobacco can cause infection in healthy plants. And what was that extract name? The fluid name is Contagium vivum fluidium. This is the name which means infectious living fluid. So here, and it was further studied because about viruses is a vast thing, and it was studied by so many scientists and given their own thesis. It was W.M. Stanley which given that it is a crystal shape, virus can be crystallized. Stanley told that it can be crystallized. So what we find that viruses by W.N. Stanley that it can be crystallized consisting largely of protein, consisting largely of protein. So we found that when it was studied by Stanley, he made it crystallized and that consisting largely of proteins. And it also, viruses also contains genetic material. It also contain genetic material that is RNA or DNA. So viruses also contains the genetic material that is RNA and DNA. It is a nucleoprotein, and what in this more, no virus contains both. No virus contain both RNA and DNA. So here what we find that Stanley discussed that, found that it can be crystallized consisting largely of proteins. It also contains genetic material, RNA or DNA, and it has no virus. What we found that both RNA and DNA is not present in a single virus, they are always separate. In general, viruses that infect plants have single-stranded RNA. So later we find that the virus that affect plants are single-stranded RNA. Virus that affect plants are single-celled RNA. So where what we find that in general, you can write in general, viruses that affect plants are single-celled RNA, and that infect animals are either, that here is plant, and in animals have either single-celled RNA or DNA. So have either single or double-stranded, having single, animals have either single or double-stranded RNA or DNA. So we find in general viruses that affect plants are single-celled RNA, and that affect animals have either single or double-stranded RNA or DNA. One example is bacterial virus, also called as bacteriophages. These are the bacteria, that means bacteria infected by virus, or virus infected by bacteria, bacterial virus or bacteriophages. Example, and they are usually double-stranded DNA, and they have generally double-stranded DNA. So here we discussed about virus that affect plants, which are generally single-celled RNA, and also affect animals that have either single or double-stranded RNA or DNA. Example are bacterial virus or bacteriophages. That means virus infected by bacteria, that is they have generally double-stranded DNA. So next are viroids, prions and lichens. So now we have completed virus. In the next class, next video I will tell about viroids, prions and lichens, and also the question answers which are given in this chapter. I will discuss that one and probably you may understand it. So thank you for watching this, dear students. I am ending this today. For the next day we will discuss this viroid, prions and lichens, and also the question answers of the book. Thank you very much.